Mr. Mafume, what's your comment on the recently announced monetary policy?
Well, the monetary policy, in basic, it is theft. Monday should be known as Black Monday for the economy. What has in fact happened is that the president, who is an old man, instead of appointing a minister of finance, has appointed an undertaker who has buried the economy. The economy is now dead and buried. These measures will not assist in any way to solve the economic hole that we are in. You cannot tax yourself out of economic problems. You cannot punish the very same people who are having to bear the brunt of your economic failure to success. The 2% charge on electronic transfers or money transfers is extortionist and daylight robbery. They have made sure that there is no cash in the economy, and they have now proceeded to heavily punish people for using electronic transactions. Why they would do that is beyond me. All the economic activity will flee formal channels and go to informal channels as people protect their cash. So if you've got an increase in the number of transactions, you have problems. If you've got an increase in terms of quantum in the number of money that you are using, then you have problems. So the economy is dead and buried. There are no measures in that monetary policy that shows that these people know what they are doing. They've brought the Zimbabwean dollar through the back door. They are now calling our RTGS balance and RTGS balance, effectively making it a meaningless currency, a currency that is contradiction to what they said they started bond notes for. They said bond notes were going to be used as export incentives. Then they've become the currency or the default currency that is being used by the government. They were supposed to be a reserve currency for exporters. Now they've said our US dollar balances that were perfectly US dollar balances are no longer US dollar. They are now saying we are encouraged to open foreign currency accounts. Now this is in contradiction. This is totally theft and unexpected of a government, and dishonorable for the Reserve Bank Governor Nyagujga, who failed to answer questions when faced with proper journalists in America. The man was asked that investors are kicking the tires and not buying the car, and he thought that the question is about Zimbabwe manufacturing cars. He is clueless, cannot answer questions when asked by proper journalists outside the country, and he could not articulate a vision. And now they are reading economic policies prepared by their staff and clearly show they don't understand these economic policies. We have a raft of measures which will ultimately lead us back into the streets. But first of all, we've got Parliament as a platform. Definitely the new taxes that were announced in the monetary policy are not only senseless but also illegal. You do not introduce taxes using a monetary policy. The only organ that can tax people is Parliament, and you do that through the budget, through the national budget. You cannot purport to start taxing people using a monetary policy. So that will be challenged legally in a court of law and challenged in Parliament. Should the parliamentary route fail, then we should use the Parliament of the streets to be able to show our displeasure. The Parliament of the streets are things that people should be prepared to go to. We cannot continue to allow a government to do what we know what happened. We know what happened in 2008. This foreign currency issue, the money will be used, and all the things that we will have will be problematic.
Mr. Mafume, do you think a GNU could have solved this problem?
Well, what could have solved this problem is a recognition of the proper result of 2018. The proper result of 2018 was that Nelson Chamisa won to be the president of this country. And a recognition of that result would have brought about a legitimate government. Now these guys have been able to steal the votes. Now they believe they can steal the money. We are asking people that will it help the nation if we join hands with people who can steal without blinking an eye? Will it help the nation if we can join hands with people who will produce policies that do not help the people but punish the people? Currently, they are using police to chase vendors in the streets, but they are the ones who used to say that there's no unemployment in Zimbabwe because people are vending and therefore they are employed. The very same employees, they are the ones that they are chasing with truckloads of riot police. They are inconsistent. They've gone past their sell-by date and they must leave. At 76, the president does not understand what Mnyangujga and the Minister of Finance are doing. They are abusing a very old man into doing things to harm the citizens that he's supposed to save. They are abusing an old man who clearly does not understand the economics into stealing money from the people. And unfortunately, like Mugabe, Mnangagwa is going to be blamed for the theft that is happening, but the thieves are going to have the last day. They will eat the foreign currency of the people and they are eating it in his name.
And we talked about legitimacy of Mnangagwa, and it shows that you are trying to say that Advocate Chamisa won the elections. But prior to 2018 harmonized elections, MDC boasted to have hired rigging experts. But after elections, it was the same old political hymn song. Elections were rigged. Did the experts sleep on duty?
No, we hired rigging experts that would identify the rigging. For the first time in this election, we had a court case where ZEC could not tell us by how much the president won by. They had a shifting target. We had an election where they produced results of an election using formulas in Excel. So you will have over 20 polling stations which had identical results for all the candidates. You had polling stations or constituencies where the presidential vote was greater than the parliamentary vote in their thousands. We were able to pinpoint the rigging in particular. So that was what the rigging experts did. We were able to produce a rigging expert who told you, who showed to the world through Advocate Tabani Mupofu that the results that were announced by ZEC were fake, that the results did not add up, that the results did not make sense. So we know how they rigged in this particular instance. And the rigging here was simple. It was a use of brute force and simply announcing figures that they wanted from the top of their head. That had no relation to either the registered voters or to the voting that happened on the ground. So they are governing by brute force. That's why the market is not responding to their governments. That's why the market has rejected this government. This whole failure of the market is a rejection of the government. The market knows that the vote was stolen, and therefore the market will not reward theft.
Recently, Advocate Chamisa announced that he is going to be sworn in as People's President. The police said they won't hesitate to arrest him on treason charges. Are you not threatened by such utterances? And what will be the duties of the People's President?
The police and Mnangagwa are better served by trying to arrest the economy. They are better served by trying to arrest their own failures. They cannot succeed in doing anything positive. All they know is succeeding in doing everything cruel. That is why most of them have got young wives even up to now. They've married 3 to 4 times. They've killed their old wives. They could no longer even maintain wives. So they cannot maintain an economy, they cannot maintain the population. They believe that they can only threaten it. They live by threatening it. We are not afraid. If we were afraid, we would not be in this business. We know we are in the right. We know good will triumph over evil. Even Satan is going to preside over this country using these angels of darkness. He's going to be defeated sooner rather than later.
He didn't mention the duties of the People's President. What will be his duties if he is sworn in as People's President?
Well, what we are going to talk about is that the legitimacy question, the People's President is Nelson Chamisa. He's actually the legitimate president of the country, and they are delaying him assuming his duties to alleviate the problems of the people. He is there to provide an alternative. He is there to state what ought to be. If he had been in charge, things would have been better. We would have solved the economic problems that we are facing as a country. And that is his duty, to show the people that there is an alternative that is there, and the alternative is one that is going to make the people of Zimbabwe better.